Maturing as a runner or as an athlete is realizing you don't need to race on the calendar to become a better runner. You don't even need to run every day of the week. You just need to show up even on the days that life feels like chaos. I'm Dr. Peralta, physical therapist and run coach and exercise physiologist. Over the past 10 years, I've helped hundreds of runners hit PRs, rehab injuries, and most importantly, find joy and consistency in their training. This video, I'm going to show you how to become the best version of yourself through running without having to have a race on the calendar, without having to do a run streak, run every single day of the week, and without burning out or feeling guilty for taking a rest day. I'm going to break this into three simple shifts that everyday runners, especially those juggling full time jobs and responsibilities, can make to stay strong, healthy, and consistent with their training. See, most people start running because they're chasing a big goal. Maybe they want to do a marathon, maybe they want to do of their first ultra marathon or complete a fitness test. Maybe they have a weight loss target, and all those are great motivators. But what if your reason for running changes? What if it's not about proving something to your friends and family, trying to prove something to the world, but just showing up for yourself, showing yourself that you can keep going even on your hardest days? Here's what I learned about being an everyday athlete, the kind of runner who just trains for life, not just for the next race. So, tip number one, you don't need to run every day to be a runner, right? You could run 3 days a week and still build a solid aerobic fitness. You can even do 3 days a week and train for a marathon. It's possible. Never said it's the only way to do it. Obviously, you could run more days, but I'm talking about for the everyday athlete who doesn't always have the luxury of training 6 days a week. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends about 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise, which would actually be considered zone two, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise. Now we're looking at like zone four, zone five, for just general health and wellness and longevity. Right. So even if you're doing 3 days a week, this could be either 3 days of 25-minute like intense workout sessions, like speed workouts, right? You'll get your 75 minutes, or even closer to an hour long, where you could do like more zone two, easy, zone 2 to 3, moderate intensity cardio, which will get you to the 150 minutes or so if you do it 3 days a week. So again, you don't have to train every single day of the week or even 5 or 6 days. You could get your fitness done in 3 days. And even elite runners have won Olympic medals averaging just 35 miles a week, right? Again, don't feel like you have to get 90 miles a week, 100 miles a week, 60 miles a week. And yes, you can train for a marathon and just doing like 35 miles a week, training for a marathon as well. It's quality and consistency, not quantity, that matters. One of my clients cut back to just 3 runs per week due to work and parenting. She's in law school and also working and a single mother, but she still was able to drop a few minutes off her half marathon time, and says because she just enjoyed running again, right? She didn't have to worry about conforming to a plan that didn't fit her schedule, right? So her training plan required like 6 days a week. It just wasn't working with her schedule. Tip number two, movement doesn't always mean running. You don't always have to run. So on non-running days, right? So you could lift, right? You do maybe twice a week of strength training. And the strength training doesn't always have to be at a gym. You could do it at a home, home body weight workouts. You get some kettlebells, dumbbells at home. You can even consider brisk walking, right? If you walk at a brisk, a fast walk, that can actually be considered zone two cardio, depending on your fitness level, of course. You could do stretching, different recovery practices, yoga, etc. So don't always think that movement, like, oh, for you to be fit, you just have to run. You could do other types of movement practices throughout the week and still have a good general fitness, right? This builds your athletic base and helps prevent injury. And I would argue it's even better because now you're more well-rounded instead of versus the person who just runs every day and doesn't do anything else, right? Because you want to run, you want to strength train, you want to stretch, you want to be able to recover and move in different movements and patterns, right? So you don't need to earn your rest because, oh, you ran, 6 days a week this week, right? Rest can be part of your training, right? Sometimes you need 2 recovery days. That's fine, or 3 day recovery days from running, right? I had a seasons where I swapped out 2 runs of the week for yoga and strength training, right? And then came back more resilient than trying to force myself to run every day, causing like my knees to hurt or overuse injuries. Because as you get older, sometimes you can't always handle the high impact of running. Tip number three, anchor to purpose, not just performance, right? Not everyone who runs needs to be, you have to run to chase the medal, right? Oh, I'm running to get this medal for this race or a race t-shirt. Sometimes the win is just showing up after a long day, right? Maybe you just get outside for 20 to 30 minutes. You run, walk, right? Doesn't, you don't always have to be a grind session. Doesn't have to be the hardest run workout you do. See, running can help clear your mind, improve your heart health, and remind you of who you are when life gets messy, right? It doesn't have to always be tied to, training for a marathon, trying to hit a BQ, Boston qualifier. For myself, I'm in a season where I'm very busy. I'm not training to do a Boston qualifying marathon right now. Maybe in the past I had that aspiration, but now I'm a different season, very busy with work, growing my business, and I'm just running to stay sane, right? I also want to be present for my athletes who I coach, right? I want to be just selfish, just think about myself, but also how I can coach my athletes to improve themselves, stay sharp, stay healthy for my family, again, myself, my clients. Because if I show up for myself, I'll have the energy to show up in other areas of my life. And I try to impart the same message to the everyday athletes who I work with. So if you've been feeling like you should be running more or guilty for not having a race on the calendar, just know it's still valid to run for yourself. You can become 1% better without chasing a finish line. And if you want to learn how to, run, train smart with limited time, and build a plan that adapts to your life instead of trying to conform to some cookie cutter plan, check out my free training, a link in the description, or find me on Instagram and DM me the word 1% and let's talk about your goals.